This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. Hope all of you out there are having a fantastic day. On the show today, another fantastic one cooked up for you. I'm going to break down how the San Francisco 49ers can annihilate and dominate the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday Night Football. But first, we will be doing another watch party for this game. Partying late on a Sunday night. Then after our watch party concludes, we'll stay live on YouTube, but we'll also go live on Call-In, a live interactive podcasting app in which you can call into the show to interact with me. You see the link down below, chatsports.com/49ers Call-In. Download the app on your iPhone or your Android devices today so that you can join us to break all things down Niners. Okay. Let's start to preview this game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Really excited here to convey my thoughts on this matchup. And this is one that the 49ers should really come out in a victorious fashion because the Chargers are horrible against the run, so their weakness falls into the 49ers' strength. The Niners are getting the healthiest that they've been all year, and the Chargers are really banged up, coming off a physical win against the Atlanta Falcons. So the Chargers' defense against the run the last 6 weeks, it's been one of the worst units in the National Football League, and they are giving up an NFL worst in terms of yards per carry at well over 5. In the last 6 weeks, they have not been able to stop the run, and this is what the 49ers do well, it being the backbone of what Kyle Shanahan likes to do offensively, especially now with having Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell back against the Jags. Chargers defense, 36 carries, 151 yards allowed. Against the Texans, 14 carries for 131. They gave up 213 to Nick Chubb and the Cleveland Browns. The only game over the last 6 that they surrendered less than 100 yards came against the Denver Broncos, but that offense is anemic. They surrendered 34 carries and 213 yards to the Seahawks and 35 totes, 201 yards last week to the Atlanta Falcons as they narrowly escaped with the win as Cameron Dicker the kicker, came through with the game-winning field goal late in the game. Also, Kyle Shanahan has faced Chargers head coach Brandon Staley twice. It was when Staley was the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams back in 2020, and the same numbers that we just talked about was the same success that Shanahan had against that Staley defense. 2-0 against Staley back in 2020. Both of those games came with Nick Mullens as the starting quarterback. That was really during the stretch of when Shanahan was still owning Sean McVay being his daddy. 19 carries for 113, 33 carries for 112 in those two matchups that year. So with that, I do want to pose this question. Elijah Mitchell's going to be back. Christian McCaffrey playing his third game in a Niner uniform. Who will have more rushing yards against the Chargers on Sunday Night Football? CM for Christian McCaffrey, run CMC, or EM for Elijah Mitchell? I'm thinking that McCaffrey, of course, is going to get a lot of carries. Elijah Mitchell might not get as many carries because he's coming off of injury, but McCaffrey can also be used as a pass-catching threat as well. To Elijah Mitchell, let's get you caught up on what's going on with him. No longer RB1 because that is McCaffrey's job, but after that Jeff Wilson trade, he immediately vaults up the depth chart to RB2. The Chargers allowing 5.7 yards per carry. Mitchell expected to return following that knee injury that he suffered in Week 1 against the Chicago Bears. And if you remember, all the way back to the opening week of the season, he was playing great. And when he went out, that's when the Niners offense started to sputter. And then Elijah Mitchell also top 5 in rushing yards per game as a rookie. So last year we saw he has the pedigree, he has the ability. Unfortunately for him, though, he has not been healthy enough as he's been off injured in a year and change since getting drafted out of Louisiana. Some weird stats, though. You think about the Niners coming off the bye week. They haven't been good, as we're about to talk about, but also in these primetime spots, specifically on Sunday Night Football, the Niners have lost 3 straight games on Sunday Night Football. The last win, of course it came against the Los Angeles Rams back in 2020. As for Kyle Shanahan, in his Niners tenure coming off the bye week, San Francisco, even with an extra week to prepare and rest, just 2-3 since 2017, since he was hired as head coach back in 2017. So something to note there. Hopefully Shanahan able to even up that record at 3-3. He's been able to really game plan a very good script to start games offensively, but now that the Niners are healthy, now that the Niners have some momentum after another dominant win against the Rams, hopefully that carries over against the other team in Los Angeles that also no one cares about in the Chargers. So who you got on Sunday Night Football? Another reminder, we'll be live on YouTube for a watch party, live after the game on Cullen. SF for the Niners, LAC for the Los Angeles Chargers. Get those game predictions in right now. The 49ers Report is sponsored today by Established Titles, a brand new sponsor here at Chat Sports. Save an extra 10% for a perfect holiday gift by heading to establishedtitles.com/chat. This is a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. It's a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. Title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, the land that we're showing you right here where you can be a landowner. Scotland, and an official certificate with the crest comes with your purchase, and they also plant a tree with every order and work with global charities, One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future, to support global reforestation efforts. You could officially include the title Lord or Lady on your credit card, plane tickets, and dating profiles. It makes for a great last-minute gift, and the first 200 people purchasing a title pack using our link will effectively be next to my plot within a few minutes of walking distance. Depending on how many of you want to become a Lord or a Lady, we can build our own 49ers Report empire in Scotland. Makes for an amazing last-minute gift, as I said. Established Titles is actually running a massive early Black Friday sale right now, with discounts up to 80% off. Plus, if you use the code CHAT, you get an additional 10% off. So go to establishedtitles.com/chat to get your gifts now and help support the channel. Like I said, Black Friday is going to be here before we know it. Establishedtitles.com/chat. We'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. More keys to a Niners win and how they can dominate against the Chargers. Target Brandon Aiyuk. We know that Deebo Samuel, one of the more prolific weapons in the National Football League, but Aiyuk has been that over time, and you might not even know it. He's making himself some money right now, as we talked about last week, putting together a really impressive stretch. Take a look at his numbers over the last 17 regular season games. He has emerged as wide receiver number 1 in this offense. 108 targets, 75 receptions, more than 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So this would be a regular season sample size, which are exceptional numbers for Brandon Aiyuk. And of note, he's putting up these numbers in a run-oriented offensive attack under head coach Kyle Shanahan. And this Chargers secondary, they're banged up. They have failed to reach expectations. They're also without their number 1 free agent acquisition. Remember last year, we were talking about J.C. Jackson, maybe Charvarius Ward, as being a cornerback target for the Niners in free agency? Well, it worked out well. Not only is Charvarius Ward the better player, at least this year as compared to J.C. Jackson, not only was he cheaper, he's still playing, he's not hurt, and J.C. Jackson out for the year. So the Niners should be able to have success on the ground, but also in the air against that Chargers defense. Better pure wide receiver is who? If we're talking overall weapon, a lot of you will say Deebo Samuel and type your DS. But who is the better pure wide receiver? I actually think it's Brandon Aiyuk. I'm going to type my BA. Let's go, Brandon. Now, to that Chargers defense. We've talked about them, right? But we have to talk about the Chargers offense as well. This tweet from Dan Orlovsky of ESPN is pretty wild, and it goes to show you the ineptitude that the Chargers have had with their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, this year, which is mind-numbingly bad because Justin Herbert is so gifted. The Chargers against the Falcons last week went the whole first quarter against Atlanta and didn't call a single pass that could potentially be thrown past 7 yards. How are you doing that with Justin Herbert, who has a bazooka and a cannon for an arm? If you don't pressure him, he will carve you up, and he has the weapons to have a lot of success through the aerial attack. And the Niners expected to get Jason Verrett back for the first time this year since suffering that torn ACL in Week 1 last year against the Lions. So another key is to pressure pressure, Justin Herbert, because if you don't, my gosh, he can have a field day. And the Niners had the dogs to do so. You take a look at their sack leaders here. Nick Bosa, once again in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's been better than Micah Parsons, but because Parsons plays for the Cowboys and everybody gets hyped up about his sack numbers and versatility, people don't want to talk about Bosa being better than him, but I actually think he is as a pure pass rusher. 8.5 sacks this year. Ebukam has 3.5. Charles Omenihu with 3. And how about Drake Jackson? Drake Jackson, with 3 sacks this year, continues to be one of the best rookie edge rushers in the National Football League. So that is how the Niners can dominate the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday Night Football. I expect them to win. I'm thinking a 30-20 game. They're 7.5-point favorites going into primetime on Sunday. Let's take a look at some of your Super Chats that came rolling in. With the $10 Super Chat. The way that Mahomes was running for first downs is the way that Trey's running should be used off script when the defense is taken by surprise. Spin it. Yeah, so you think about Patrick Mahomes on Sunday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans. The improvisational nature in which he played with was insane. And the off-script plays that he was able to make, backbreakers for a very good Tennessee defense. And that's how the Chiefs were able to come back. They thought that they had Patrick Mahomes bottled up, but he does such a good job of climbing the pocket, getting out to his right, or even throwing against his throwing arm, getting out to the left, and just buying time to make a play. Like, how many times you see Patrick Mahomes get pressured, he's sidestepping guys, and then he's stepping back and just unleashing some ridiculous throw by dropping down his arm angle and stuff like that, and his running ability. He doesn't run by design, he runs when he has to. Kyle Shanahan was calling way too many designed runs for Trey Lance. So in that regard, I agree with I'd like to see Trey Lance used less as a runner, and I talked about that all throughout the offseason. Patriot Fighter with the $10 Super Chat. Would the 49ers sign Tom Brady? Think about the weapons he would have. Bang, bang, Niner gang. So Albert Breer saying over the weekend, last weekend, that he wouldn't be surprised if Tom Brady, who is a free agent in 2023, were to leave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to come back to his hometown team and join forces with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I did tweet this out the other day. Looking at Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, they look miserable in their current circumstances and in their current situations. And I think things are a little bit bleak for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady sees that. And when he's as old as he is right now, 45 years old, he had his divorce with Giselle. If he wants to continue playing, he wants to maximize his ability to win another Super Bowl championship. And if it's not with Tampa Bay, he's not going to return. He's going to go to a team that is geared up to chase another Lombardi trophy. And perhaps no other team in the NFL has more of a quarterback need with a roster that is ready to win a Super Bowl championship than the Niners. And of course, that history is there. He thought about going to San Francisco before going to the Bucs. He grew up rooting on the Niners. Joe Montana was his favorite quarterback. He'd like to play with Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, because of all the weapons there that could take pressure off of him, and he'd be able to rely on maybe the best ground game that he's had as a quarterback in the NFL. So I do think there's a possibility there. You heard it here first, because I've been talking about this over the last 2 years that it could happen, and I still think it could happen. And when people tweet me, say, Chase, you're talking about the future as if 2023 is the future. Tomorrow is the future. 2023 is the future. The Niners have to plan for the future. And I guarantee you, they're having these conversations right now as for whether or not they should go after a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers if they're available. Now, Brady would be the more affordable quarterback because he's going to be a free agent, whereas Aaron Rodgers will not be. He might have to demand the trade. But let me ask you this question with these two quarterbacks here, potential targets, and they could be a bridge quarterback to Trey Lance still. Who's better right now? Here in 2022. Who would be better in 2023 for the Niners? TB for Tom Brady, AR for Aaron Rodgers. Let me know who you'd go with among these two NFL greats.